Welcome to Reader Seeks Romance Channel's Romance Roundup. I am Liz Donatelli.
And I'm Libby Kay, author of the sweet romance series Buckeye Falls.
Libby and I are excited to share the upcoming 2023 fall romances on our to-be-read lists. If you're listening to us on Podbean or your podcast app of choice, then be sure to like, share, and subscribe to Romance Roundup. Also, watch Romance Roundup on Reader Seeks Romance's YouTube channel, which is the only place you'll find exclusive bonus content such as episode teasers, books and bookish giveaways, extra book recs, and romance author guests. Be sure to like and subscribe. Libby, let the roundup begin.
All right, giddy up, Liz. Here we go. So first one that I'm really excited about is by Jackie Fraser, and it's called The Beginning of Everything. And this is going to come out September 26th from Dell Publishing. So the reason I'm excited is it's another one of my, starting over, not necessarily second chance because this is a new love interest, but a woman starting over needing a change. And if you listen to episode 1, you'll know that this seems to be a common theme with me. So we have our heroine, Jess. She is starting out basically with everything she can carry. And she finds this home that she's going to basically, it sounds like, squat in, and the attractive, because they're always attractive, owner of the house, Gethin, and again, I'm making a guess that that's how you say that name since I haven't read it yet, but Gethin is there, and he obviously is coming in with his own baggage, pun intended, and together they agree to stay in this fixer-upper house, and they're going to work on it together. And because it's listed as a romance, I'm making some assumptions here that sparks are going to fly, and there's going to be a few hopefully sweet and steamy moments with this book. So one of the reasons I'm really excited about this book is I really enjoyed Jackie Fraser's first, well, maybe not first book, but first to me book that came out, I believe, about a year and a half ago, called The Bookshop of Second Chances. And just like with that one, this cover for The Beginning of Everything is adorable. And it has that illustrated vibe where you just want to like slide in and be cozy with Jess and Gethin and whatever other shenanigans ensue. But I really have enjoyed Jackie Fraser's writing style. I like that her heroines and heroes are very flawed and realistic. Again, kind of going back to episode 1, this is another book that features characters that are over 40. So I'm excited for that, just to kind of see just how it's a different type of love story when, this isn't a first love situation. So very excited. Like I said, comes out September 26th. It sounds super cute. And I always go in with kind of scary high expectations if I liked an author's previous book. So I'm fingers crossed that Jackie's going to wow me with this one too.
Thank you for sharing. That sounds intriguing. And I'm curious to know if after you read it, if it'll end up on future lists on the show.
Yes, I will definitely keep you posted. It's funny because I like these story plots that in real life, like the thought of just like leaving my entire life with whatever I can carry just sounds terrifying. But I'm like, oh, that sounds charming if it's fictional.
Yes, absolutely. And did you mention that someone being a hot squatter?
No, she was squatting in his house is the way I'm interpreting the description of the book, is that basically she has no right to be there. It's not her house.
Okay, right. I thought you said that. I guess I got it confused in my head, thinking that it was the male love interest was the squatter and that he was hot. And I thought you said something about a hot squatter.
No, I'm just hoping he's attractive because she's always squatting in his house.
Because, hot squatter could be a fun romance trope.
Yeah.
Some dude squatting in your house.
In your house.
And he's hot, so you're not going to kick him out.
Again, only if it's fictional. That would scare the crap out of me in real life.
Only if it's fictional. Okay.
Oh, so what do you have? I'm excited.
I have Faking Christmas, a holiday rom-com by our friend and fellow book clubber, Kerry Winfrey. Yes, I'm name dropping. What I like about Kerry's work, I read a few of her other novels. She's really good at situational comedy. There's a lot of situations that are truly funny And she writes it with that precision that you can imagine it playing out on the screen in a movie setting. So I'm super excited. It is inspired by the 1945 film Christmas in Connecticut.
When I heard that, I'm like, I am sold.
Yes, yes. I know that, as you mentioned in the first episode, you're a fan of older movies, classics, if you will. And this one, I actually watched the trailer for Christmas in Connecticut to kind of get an idea of what faking Christmas might be like. And I'm really excited for both to watch the movie and read the book. So, Faking Christmas comes out September 26th, published by Berkeley. This is the book description little blurb here. Laurel Grant is playing house for the holidays, complete with a fake husband and kids in this delightful, charming rom-com by Kerry Winfrey. So the gist of it is that there's a social media manager who lies to her boss about owning a farm in Ohio that's actually owned by her twin sister. And this charade, which involves her pretending to be married to her nemesis, don't know how that happens. And I suppose there's kids thrown in there. You're only supposed to do this for one dinner. So it's only supposed to be a very temporary charade. But there's a snowstorm and it traps everyone at the farm for a weekend. So she has to keep up this pretense throughout the weekend. Otherwise, her job might be in danger. And of course, during the course of that, she ends up falling for this enemy of hers. So there's a lot. I mean, it's got all my synapses snapping here.
All the tropes. All the tropes.
Right. It's like, where could this go? And there's tropes and it's holiday goodness. So I can't wait. And I am going to be attending Kerry's launch and book signing in Columbus, Ohio, at the Book Loft.
Yes, I will be there too. Yes.
Excellent. So yeah, Faking Christmas by Kerry Winfrey, out September 26th. Libby, what else do you have for us?
Okay, so we're going from Christmas and we're just going to have regular old time of year. So the next one I'm really excited about is a new one coming out from Alexis Hall. It's called 10 Things That Never Happened, which perked up my late 90s brain of 10 Things I Hate About You. And I don't know if it has anything to do with that, but the title alone caught my attention and I was super excited.
I hope so. I'm a big fan of 10 Things I Hate About You.
God, one of my favorite movies. We should just have a show about that movie.
Speaking of that, this was not done purposely for me to mention this, but on Romance Rewind, a show that I co-host with Tiffany, we discuss 10 Things I Hate About You with an author whose book was inspired by it.
Okay.
So check that out.
I have to check that out.
YouTube.
Yeah, you and Tiffany are a hoot. I love it. Okay, so anyway, and this comes out, I should, before I forget to mention, October 17th, it's from Source Books Casablanca. So why I'm excited is I've really enjoyed Alexis Hall's other books, particularly the London Calling series, and that's the boyfriend material, husband material, and I think they might have father material coming out. I have to check on that. But that was kind of alluded to at the end of husband material. But anywho, so the reason I'm excited is because Alexis Hall does amazing things with the chemistry of these characters in all of the books I've read. So I have high expectations for this new one, which features Sam and Jonathan. And Sam is a manager of a bed and bath store. It kind of sounds like the UK's version of Bed Bath and Beyond. And he gets summoned to London by the owner, who is, of course, surly and a grump. And his name is Jonathan. And I'm already excited that it's going to be a grumpy sunshine trope. That's, again, I'm just like, oh, trope.
Yeah.
So on the way, there's a little bit of an accident and Sam gets injured. And so to save himself from this bad first impression, he pretends that he has amnesia. So that's kind of the basis of, from what I understand from the description, that's the basis of the story, is this lie that he doesn't know or he doesn't remember anything. So he and Jonathan can start fresh. So I just think that sounds charming. It sounds like a fun twist on the, workplace, enemies to lovers, grumpy sunshine tropes that it seems this book is going to have. In the London Calling series, the secondary characters were phenomenal. They were hilarious. They added a lot to the story. So again, I'm having high expectations here, Alexis Hall. Please don't break my heart. And again, another shout out for another Alexis Hall book, because I just had some of my book buddies talk about it and I haven't read it yet, but one of their historical ones, which is A Lady for a Duke. Apparently that is super fun, super steamy, and
Ooh.
it's kind of a slow burn, friends to lovers. And so I wanted to give a shout out for A Lady for a Duke, because that's on my TBR list, and apparently it is just as good, if not better, than Alexis Hall's London Calling series.
Wow, you squeezed in 2 books in
I
there.
know, I'm just putting it all in there.
That's fantastic. I think it is brilliant. Pretend amnesia.
Yeah,
Like
just to save face.
I've never heard of that, and I can't imagine how that plays out necessarily. So that makes me even more eager to check out
Yes.
this book.
Yes.
That is, I might have to make that a book club book.
I'm telling you, it's, and plus the cover again. I know you shouldn't
Yeah,
judge books by their cover, but everybody does, so it's
of
okay.
course.
But it just looks super fun, and I love the red, white, and blue theme. And again, as someone who keeps a lot of my books, it's nice to have everything look nice on the bookshelf. So
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
so that's not the only reason. But again, I'm super excited for 10 Things That Never Happened by Alexis Hall, which comes out October 17th. What
Okay.
do you have next, Liz?
It's called Ghosted by Sarah Reddy.
Okay.
It is a paranormal ghost romance. Now, there's only 2 ways in my mind of how a paranormal ghost romance can end. Either we find out that the person was in a coma and their spirit fell in love with
Oh yeah.
a flesh and blood person, or I'm thinking that the other person dies and they meet up in heaven. So I am fascinated by checking out ghost romances because I want to see how the author writes it. Oh, or they become a real person like Pinocchio. So Ghosted is going to publish on September 26th by a romance publisher I have not heard of, Swift and Lewis Publishing, which may or may not be the author's own publishing company.
Okay.
Here is the book description. Here's a little excerpt from that. Jillian Najat is the only dating and relationship expert on the planet who is incapable of speaking to men. If they're living, if they're breathing, it's game over. So now, and this goes back to the squatting. It says that the main character, Jillian, moves into a cheap apartment in New York City that comes with a hunky hot ghost who believes his job is to help Jillian find love. And then I guess they fall for each other. So here is a hot ghost squatter.
All right. I love it. That's the theme of this entire episode.
is hot squatters, which I would not look up on Google because I'd find. I have not read any books by Sarah Reddy, but they seem to have a lot of books on Amazon. So definitely a prolific writer of romance. So yeah. So that is Ghosted by Sarah Reddy, out September 26th.
I'm definitely intrigued. That sounds really cool.
The roundup continues, Libby.
All right. Next up, I want to talk about one of my favorite authors, and I'm sure a lot of yours, Tessa Bailey. She has a new one coming out October the 3rd with Avon Publishing, and it's called Wreck the Halls. So obviously it's a Christmas book, so I'm super excited. I'm not one of those people that's already decorated for Christmas, but it will not take much longer because it's already halfway through September. So I'm just super excited because it's Tessa Bailey. Most of her books are automatic reads for me, and I just love them. I would say that sometimes I do squeal a little and fangirl over the fact that I just love her books. They're so cute. So a lot of you probably know her from her most popular series, which is the Bellinger Sisters, which had It Happened One Summer and Hook, Line, and Sinker. I mean, they were phenomenal. There's a reason why they're popular. I also really liked her Hot and Hammered series and her standalones like My Killer Vacation. And I just forgot the name of it. A mutual friend absolutely loves it. Oh, Captivated. I know that for our super spicy fans out there, that's another that's peak Tessa Bailey.
Yes.
So anywho, back to Wreck the Halls. So this is a standalone rom-com is how it is advertised. And it is featuring the adult children of 2 rock royalty rock stars. So we have Melody, who is the quiet one. And then I kid you not, it says his name is Beat, as in the beat of a drum. And he is our extroverted, outgoing love interest. So they have to work together to convince their mothers to do one final farewell concert, which of course is going to take place on Christmas Eve because it's a Christmas romance. And that's what I need in my life.
Yeah.
And it is promising excellent banter. And as what I'm describing is steamy shenanigans, because Tessa Bailey always delivers with that. And it's going to have, I like her books because they're quirky, but usually not over the top quirky. And that's just, I don't know. She's like the perfect little palate cleanser between other authors. I always go back to Tessa Bailey time and time again. I just find her to be very enjoyable. But I don't know. I mean, Christmas, you know, I just like the premise of that it's the mothers who are the rock stars. It's not, not that men can't be
Yeah.
rock stars, but you know what I mean? It's nice to kind of have a different spin on that. So I'm super excited about it. I think it sounds really cute.
I read Tessa Bailey's Window Shopping, which was her last holiday romance.
Yes,
I don't
I
know if
forgot
you,
about that one. I did, and I liked
yeah.
that one.
Yeah, I
Yes,
really liked that one. It was a Ted Lasso type character. So it was Ted Lasso on the street, Roy Kent in the sheets.
that's
He was,
exactly what it was.
yeah, it was really steamy. And the main character, she had done time in prison
Yes,
and had
and that
just
again,
released.
totally different.
Yeah, totally different narrative than what we're used to in romance fiction, and really, really intriguing. And they're kind of, there's like a grumpy sunshine dynamic. People say reverse when it's the man who's
Who's happy?
sunshine. Yeah, which I feel like it should just be grumpy sunshine. It
Yeah.
doesn't, but anyway, I guess reverse if you go by that. But yeah, so I would hope for big things with Wreck the Halls.
Yes, I'm very excited. So again, Wreck the Halls by Tessa Bailey comes out October the 3rd from Avon.
Nice.
So what do we have next? I'm super excited.
Okay, another holiday romance.
Oh, excellent.
This one is called Mistletoe and Mishagas.
Ooh.
So, yes, it is in the Teachers in Love series by M.A. Wardell, who appears to be a self-published author. And it is an opposites attract male gay holiday romance, and it releases October 10th. The story is between a chipper new first grade school teacher and the school's antisocial custodian. So you have again that grumpy sunshine.
Love it.
The teacher, the first grade teacher, needs a date to his ex-boyfriend's Christmas Eve wedding. And the custodian needs a boyfriend to take home to his family for Hanukkah because he told them he had a boyfriend. So
I'm already loving this.
I know, right? Cue the fake dating trope, everybody. Here is an excerpt from the book description. When all the rehearsing starts feeling a little too real and both men's pasts come roaring back to haunt them, will they be able to pull off the ultimate holiday masquerade? Ooh. I know. Fingers crossed. I've never read anything by M.A. Wardell, so I don't know anything about heat level. Based on the illustrated cover, which is not cartoonish, it looks almost like a real, I guess, more realistic.
Okay.
And really intriguing because there's so much emotion in each of their faces in the book cover. So I was really taken by that. And so that's Mistletoe and Mishagas by M.A. Wardell, out October 10th.
That sounds super cute. I'm really excited. That's definitely on my TBR list.
Yes. Back to you, Libby.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're going back in time now because my next one is a historical romance. It is The Gentleman's Gambit by Evie Dunmore, and that comes out December the 5th from Penguin. This is part of her League of Extraordinary Women series, which I'm a huge fan of, especially, I liked all three of them, but the first two were just like, oh my God, they're so good. Really big fan of the series, and I'm glad she's continuing it because you never know once you get past a trilogy if the authors are going to keep going or not. So hooray, we're still there. Yeah. So this takes place in it's just beyond the Regency era. We are during the budding suffragette movement in the UK. So that's neat to kind of see. She does and cites her research usually in the back of her story. So I'm excited because this is something she's passionate about, and it really comes through in the story. It doesn't feel dry or heavy with her previous ones in the series. Like, this is information that really happened, and it really adds to the story. So anywho, this follows Catriona, who works at Oxford and is also, as I mentioned, in the suffragette movement. And she has been burned in every aspect of her life. She is just fed up, and she is sick of men trying to weasel in on her research and her work with the suffragettes. And so in comes Elias, who is trying to get in on her research, but it sounds like not all is as it appears because he really is there for different reasons. I don't know what they are yet because the book hasn't come out, but it sounds like he is there for non-nefarious purposes. But of course, they're going to be butting heads, and and eventually they're going to be forced to work together. And so I really like this kind of enemies to lovers, rivals to lovers vibe I'm getting from the description.
Yeah.
And again, as a history buff and a fan of historical romances, I like that this is going to have a little meat on its bones, and it's not that there's anything wrong with traditional bodice rippers, but there's going to be more to this than a few steamy scenes, which, if anything, from the previous three, we should expect at least a couple really nice little steamy scenes. So pretty excited to see how this all plays out. And I'm hoping that we get to see a little bit of the three couples from the previous books, because as a fan of series, I really like when that happens.
Well, you'll have to report back or just add it to one of the future lists. I'm curious to know.
Absolutely. She has done no wrong so far, so I'm cautiously optimistic. So again, Gentleman's Gambit comes out December the 5th from Penguin, and it's by Evie Dunmore. So what do we have next?
Sweeten the Deal by Katie Shepherd. This is Katie's second novel. Her first one was Bear With Me Now. She actually appeared on Reader Seeks Romance channel. Sweeten the Deal is a rom-com published by Berkeley. It releases October 17th. And here's a little bit of a blurb from the book description. She's lonely, rich, and 10 years too young for him, but she's also his sugar daddy, and they couldn't have less in common. So that raises a lot of questions. So the gist is that Caroline is a 22-year-old MBA student, and she's a talented tennis player. She inherits $2 million. She's never had any friends. She's never had any boyfriends, no girlfriends. She's not had many life experiences, but she really wants to expand her world and socialize and become more sophisticated. Okay. Now we have Adrian. He is 33 years old. He is a former rising star in the Boston art scene. He is now broke and living on his friend's couch. He lists himself on a sugar baby website, and Caroline innocently answers the ad to become his first client.
Interesting.
Yes. And they get to know each other and sparks fly. So obviously this is an age gap situation. Also, to me, this gives me Kiss Quotient vibes. The novel Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang. Yeah. So I definitely, like immediately, and I love the Kiss Quotient. So I'm like, oh, now this age gap is interesting because there's a big age gap, but the age gap is between a 22-year-old and a 33-year-old, which is different than other age gaps I've read. This is kind of like a really young person with someone who, but I understand, but apparently based on a few reviews I read, the age gap doesn't feel so big, and it doesn't feel like there's, a power imbalance in the relationship or anything. That's what I understand.
Especially if she's the one with all the money.
She's the one with all the money. Yeah. So it sounds intriguing. It's a cute illustrated cover. I don't know how steamy it will be, because even though it is a sugar baby site, it doesn't seem like Caroline is coming into it hoping to have lots of sex. So,
although, and this might be an unfair statement, but I always feel like age gap romances have to be steamy. I don't think I've ever read one that doesn't have at least a few passages where you're like, hello.
Yeah, there has to be some, a decent amount of steam, but not too much that you start to question people's motives for being with a younger,
that's
person.
True, especially because she has all this money. I'm really invested in this.
Yeah, I'm pretty interested in how it's executed, how Katie executes it. So that is Sweeten the Deal by Katie Shepherd, out October 17th. Okay, Libby, what do you have?
All right. So next up is called Friends Don't Fall in Love by Erin Hahn. This comes out October 17th from St. Martin's Griffin. This is my first book that I will be reading by Erin Hahn. I have looked at her list on Goodreads, and it all looks amazing. And again, super cute covers, because I judge every book by its cover. So this one seemed intriguing because in terms of tropes, it has friends to lovers, enemies to lovers, it's a celebrity romance, and then there's going to be a lot of second chances. So, come on, what more could you ask for? So the general premise is Lorelai had, past tense, a thriving country music career and a famous fiance until she did a protest song that shattered everything. I'm kind of getting like Dixie Chicks, although now they're called just the Chicks, but I kind of got vibes from that when I read that.
Yeah.
Which again, no complaints. But it took her 5 years, and now Lorelai's ready for her comeback. So enter Craig, who is her former friend and former bandmate, and also her a former friend of her ex. So there's a lot of different elements here with Craig.
Yeah, there are.
Yeah. And apparently, according to the book jacket, he has had a thing for Lorelai for ages. And so as soon as they get together, in his eyes, it's sparks are flying automatically. But it sounds like Lorelai is going to be a little bit more reserved and focused on her comeback, not necessarily falling in love with our boy Craig here. So I haven't read anything by her, but it sounds adorable. I'm on a bit of a celebrity romance kick. I just seem to be throwing one in like every 4 books lately. So I thought, what's one more? And it's almost October, so it'll be here before you know it. So have you read anything by Erin Han before, Liz?
No, I have not. So you will be diving into new territory, and please share.
Yes, I promise to report back.
Thank you. And I dig celebrity romances, so I'm already hooked on what you're telling me here. Yes. And it seems like there are different levels of complexity, but that's okay, because the celebrity romance, if it's really written well, you could take me wherever you want to take me.
Yeah, agreed.
Speaking of celebrity romance, there is one that I consider my favorite, and it is by Soraya Wilson, called The Seat Filler.
The Seat Filler.
The Seat Filler, because when you go to when you go to recordings of award shows and so on, they don't want the camera to see the crowd and there's nobody there. So they have seat fillers. So when a celebrity gets up to use the restroom, they throw a seat filler in there to fill the seat. Or if they get up to get a drink, they have a seat filler, fill the seat for the celebrity. So there is a seat filler who is next to this big star that she loves, this actor, who is based on Adam Driver, because the author Soraya Wilson met Adam Driver because she does those charity auctions.
Oh, I thought you were going to say because she's a seat filler.
No, actually, she's not. No, but she researched seat fillers. She knew people who were seat fillers. But Soraya is an author who does a lot of these celebrity auctions where she'll spend like, I don't know, $2,000 and it goes to charity, and she gets a Zoom or an in-person meetup with a celebrity of, that she likes, or an actor. Fun. So she spent money for this celebrity auction and got kind of a meet and greet with Adam Driver at an awards ceremony. So that whole story is actually described on her episode of Rita Seeks Romance, or Rita Seeks Romance channel on YouTube.
I'll have to check that out because that sounds really cute.
It's a great story. And so if you envision Adam Driver in this as this character, which is what is intended, it's actually really sexy, because there's something sexy about Adam Driver. And so the seat filler also, not only is it a celebrity romance, but it's also kissing lessons. Are you familiar with the kissing lessons trope, where one character will ask the other, like, oh, show me, I've never really properly been kissed, or I don't know how to kiss, or teach me how to do these things. And it's almost like, oh, okay, I'll take you under my wing. So there's also some kissing lessons in there, which is not something I read often. So for celebrity romance, I definitely would recommend The Seat Filler.
That sounds really good. It is officially on my list now. That sounds great. And Adam Driver, he's everywhere.
He's everywhere. He's even in that weird cologne ad where he's half man, half horse.
Yes, I just saw that a couple weeks ago.
What is that called again when it's half man, half horse?
Is it a centaur?
Centaur, yeah. So he's like a centaur, like he's running towards the water. He's on a beach running to the water, and he turns into a centaur. And now I'm supposed to believe that I should buy the cologne.
Cologne, because you want your husband to smell it.
I want my husband to run into the lake, or maybe the creek behind my house, and I want him to turn into a centaur. Now we're up to our last book
our last one. So what do you have, Liz?
Emergency Contact, a holiday rom-com by New York Times bestselling author Lauren Lane and her husband Anthony LaDon. I am excited for this.
I love this. And this is your second husband and wife one that you've done now.
It is. And you know what? I wanted to bring up the fact that I am finding more romance novels co-written by romantic partners. I had interviewed an author, this couple, the Giglios. They had written a romance that I had discussed with them. Then the Tamborellis. And then I know Corelia Stets Waters has a romance coming out that she co-wrote with her wife, Faye Stets Waters. That's coming out next year. So I feel as if and I gravitate towards that because if I ever co-wrote with my husband, there would be bloodshed, I think, at some point.
It wouldn't be bringing you closer together.
Maybe only if it was a success and we were making lots of money, then I could forgive all. So Emergency Contact, it releases October 24th by Blackstone Publishing. And it is, according to the book description, a delightful meet cute between the proposal and planes, trains, and automobiles. Emergency Contact is perfect for fans of Christina Lauren and Sally Thorne. I love everything about that.
Everything you just said, the author comparisons, the movies, yes, to all of that.
Everything. So here's the gist. A concussed New York City attorney forgot to update her emergency contact info. So her ex-husband is called in to take her home and monitor her for 48 hours to make sure she doesn't get any worse. Okay.
I love this.
So now he has to travel to Chicago with the ex for the holidays at his family's house. And he's planning on proposing to his girlfriend on Christmas Eve.
Oh, no.
So I assume, because it's a romance, that he does not propose and he gets back together with his ex-wife, who I'm hoping her concussion doesn't get any worse. Although that could be fun if she's a little wonky, during the holidays because of the concussion. That might be where the comedy comes in.
Yeah.
So that is
comedy of head injuries.
What was that?
I said the comedy of head injuries.
It's a thing. Okay. It's a little funny.
No, I mean, I'm here for it.
Could that be a romance trope? Comedic head injury trope.
Comedic concussions.
Well, you mentioned amnesia. So I feel as if we're headed towards some kind of head trauma.
That's our theme of the day, is head injuries and squatting in other people's homes.
So that is Emergency Contact by Lauren Lane and Anthony Ladon, out October 24th. Libby, we have bonus book recs for our YouTube fans. You want to kick us off?
Yes, I do. So Liz and I are in the same book club, the Reader Seeks Romance book club, and these are some of our favorites to date. So I will go first, and I happen to have it right here. So the one that I'm going to talk about is The Neighbor Favor by Christina Forrest. And as the cover will show you, it is adorable and it is so good. So it follows Lily, who is a shy bookworm type, and she connects in a moment of panic accidentally with her favorite fantasy author, Nick, online. And so for months, they have this correspondence via email, and it is just, it's so good. So anyway, skip ahead. And they end up living in the same New York apartment building. And so you're thinking, oh, well, Libby, they're obviously just going to fall in love and ride into the sunset. But no, you'd be wrong, because Christina Forrest did a wonderful job of giving these characters complicated yet relatable backstories and different reasons for why Nick, the author, has, written under a pen name and keeps to himself. And Lily is this protected sister with these two fabulous older sisters. And just the story, the writing, the secondary characters, the tension, the chemistry, all of it. Like, there was such vulnerability with these characters. And I think this was, in addition to the one you're about to discuss, one of the few where all of us were unanimous that this book was amazing and deserves every accolade in the world. So it's perfect for fans of kind of like mistaken identity and is it, I always say this word wrong, is it epistolatory novels when they're through letters and emails?
It's so funny you're saying
that word wrong.
It's so funny you're saying this, because I was reminding myself, because I was going to mention I like epistolary.
That's right.
And I was trying to remember in my head how to say it. Epistolary.
The book starts out with their emails, and so it's nice because as a reader, you get to meet these two characters in a different way. They're a little more guarded, and then you obviously get to see how they really are. So, but the best news of all is not only is this book fabulous, but the author just announced that book 2, which is one of her sister's books, The Partner Plot, is coming out February 27th of 2024. And it was just announced through Berkeley that the third one in the series, The Love Lyric, is going to be out sometime in spring 2025. So not only can you enjoy The Neighbor Favor, which seriously is adorable and swoony and perfect, but you can also get more of the sisters in 24 and 25.
Out of all the books that we've read with Reader Seeks Romance Book Club in Columbus, Ohio, my favorite to date, The Charm Offensive by Alison Cochrane. And I believe this was the first that all of us unanimously liked. And then the second one was your pick, Christina Forrest. So The Charm Offensive by Alison Cochrane. It's a male-male gay rom-com published by Atria, an imprint of Simon & Schuster. Here's a quote from the blurb. An awkward tech wonderkind on a reality dating show who goes off script when sparks fly with his producer. So the contestant, who is this tech wonderkind, his name is Charlie, and he is on this reality dating show called Ever After, which is a lot like the Bachelor franchise. And it's like the Bachelor franchise, straight couples. So he goes on to rebuild his reputation. And he ends up discovering that he has romantic feelings for the producer, Dev, who is gay. And I believe he's also demisexual. Dev lives with anxiety. And even though he works on a faux romance show, because it's not truly like even The Bachelor, it's romance, but not really. But Dev really believes that love can be found on the show. Of course, he never feels like he's most deserving, which makes it interesting when Charlie falls for him and trying to convince Dev, yeah, my feelings for you are real. And, I wasn't really in touch with my sexuality and my identity until now. It's incredibly sweet and very sexy. And there was a lot of humor, especially around the behind the scenes of the making of a reality dating show, because everything that can go wrong does. I'm a fan of reality dating shows, so I found it especially intriguing. But Alison Cochrane has such an authentic voice, and her characters are have an emotional depth that you can really sink your teeth into, I guess, for lack of a better word. You could really it really resonates. So yeah. Now you had mentioned to me off camera that you remembered a particular scene from the book that I didn't remember.
I loved the puzzling scene where it was like an overwhelming day and they just sat in their hotel room and made a puzzle together. And there was something so, I mean, and it's funny because I hate puzzles, but I can appreciate that you want to do something peaceful and to kind of, recenter yourself. But I loved that they kind of made that their thing when they would get together and just work on puzzles and have a quiet moment, just the two of them. I thought that was so tender and just adorable. So yeah, the puzzling scene just melted me.
Well, I have no recollection of that scene, but I am almost 1,000% sure that in that moment when I read it, I loved it because I went through a big puzzling phase of my life and had to stop because I started getting back problems from it.
Oh no.
But I think that puzzling is such a relaxing and productive, but yet casual, cozy hobby to engage in. And with another person, it's a great way to build team working skills and all that. So I'm sure that I loved that scene.
You must have, because you love puzzles and I don't like puzzles, and I loved it.
And you loved it.
And my husband and I only did like maybe 2 puzzles together in our 20 plus years together. And that's why we're still married, as we stopped doing puzzles.
Stop doing puzzles. How do you like that?
I don't have the patience for puzzles. It's just too let's get it done.
I would like to see a romance novel between a couple who breaks up over puzzling because they puzzle and they don't get along. And the other person has to eventually find a puzzling partner. And then romance ensues.
Okay, that would be adorable. I would read that.
Puzzling. We have to bring the puzzling trope to the forefront of Romancelandia. So Alison Cochrane, she does have another rom-com coming up called Here We Go Again, and that releases in April 2024. And excellent. Here's the blurb for that one. A new queer rom-com following once childhood best friends forced together to drive their former teacher across the country.
Huh. Interesting.
I don't know, because I would never want to drive my former teachers anywhere, to be honest. A lot of them were nuns, and I would choose not to drive them anywhere. But I found it interesting that so it looks like what we're looking at here is former childhood friends turned adult rivals, or
were they rivals
turned
as
lovers?
children, and now they're going to be, I don't know.
And what are the circumstances that are going to force you to drive your teacher across the country? I mean, and then isn't it a little crowded? How do you build love when there's someone in there?
Yeah.
Someone with you the whole time in a car, I presume. Yeah.
I'm guessing.
So anyway, but I am a fan of Alison Cochran, so I would like to check it out. So there you have it. Be sure to subscribe to Rita Seeks Romance on YouTube so that you don't miss out on book recommendations and bonus content and extras. You can also listen to Romance Roundup on Podbean or your preferred podcast app. Thanks for joining us, romance readers.
Happy reading, everyone.